one family today that actually took a family of evacuees from Donbass into their home.
Is this still working? Let's see.
What's up?
Hello. Hello. Okay, okay, someone tell me if this works.
I can see your screen. That's what you're asking.
Okay, it works. Okay. Get music. I'll start at 2. I will not be reading the YouTube chats. So if you have a request, just ping me on Discord. I should probably write that somewhere, huh? I don't even know how to work OBS. Oh well, it's okay. I'll send in 3.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. This live will probably be pretty fast because what else is there to talk about? We're going to war. Um, ever since I don't know, we broke down on SPX, there was really no point in playing anything but puts. pretty clear after, let's see. It's pretty clear after breaking this massive demand zone that the market was pretty doomed. Like even if we got no news, right? Just look at the scale in volume in terms, or relative to everything else, right? Literally just dollar-wise, right? There's probably more volume here than the amount of money accumulated within this entire zone. So just through VPVR, you're able to tell like how fragile this structure is, right? That being said, we're now breaking a much worse zone, right? Now that we zoom out, you can even go in the monthly or the weekly, it doesn't really matter, right? Like if we're from the weekly, we've already dropped below this zone, and we already did it once, right? So this is, it was to be expected, because again, or not again, but if you've been in the market long enough, you can probably realize that the first bounce after something like this is almost always going to be fake, right? And if you just did a simple retracement, like, this is pretty obvious that we're fucked. We even reject twice, like you got an entry twice, and I hope to God that people listen to me. But it's okay. If you didn't, we'll go to war again a couple years down the line. Maybe, I don't know. Oh well. I would like for us to stop near here though. I don't know how bad the war is gonna get. Like, I genuinely don't know. But yeah.
Are we really going to war or no?
I mean, I'm just looking at the live market or live news updates. We will see in an hour how the market reacts. I mean, crude oil. Let's see. How's this doing? I mean, before it closed, right, for the overnight auction, or for international markets, it's a pretty significant move. Let's see. Let's see how it opens, right? Let's see if we can get above here. But the fact that people are talking about the war, I don't know, I'm just looking at Discord, and how Putin's already sending in troops. But we can see the tree market reaction in an hour when futures open up. Let's see. Oh no, that's out of the way. I'm just gonna go really fast. Go ahead.
Wouldn't Bitcoin react to this?
Probably all assets, right? I don't know, it looks okay right now. I never expected, or I didn't expect it to push through this deviation anyways, of the pitchfork. So we'll see. Let's see if this holds. If this holds, great. I'll just buy more. But when it hit this deviation, and when I said we should respect or expect some resistance here, I sold most of my position. I wanted to buy again around this area, right here, but we kind of pierced through it, so there's no point. I'm glad we did, because I'm glad that we did it the way we did. Right? There's no question about it on how we broke. So now we re-enter this demand zone here, and let's see if this triangle holds. If this triangle holds, amazing. If not, oh well, I already made my money's worth. Okay, I'm gonna go super fast. This looks trash. This looks pretty good to the downside, right? I already posted my charts. I gave you the targets as well, for Apple at least. Avivai I wouldn't touch. Airbnb really played it up. I'd be careful here though, if you're still in for some reason. But it looks okay if it can hold literally right here, right? If it bounces off of this demand zone here, can probably expect it to retest 177 there or here. And if it manages to break 182, then it'll fill up pretty fast to 200. Do I think it happens? No, probably not. We'll probably just come back down to retest this golden zone area because it's coinciding with the volume shelf here. And it's also lining up with the bearish sentiment of the market. So far, at least. I don't know, news can always change. I don't really know what happened here. This shouldn't be on my watch list anymore. AMAT looks like it can fall one more time. Let's see. I want to play this. Maybe if it breaks this low, should be the VPR shelf. Oh, no. Actually, it's down here. Guys, I don't know. This looks awful. I mean, if the market wasn't so bearish, maybe I'd play this up. But we'll see in an hour. I'd play Amazon below 29.65 for a nice 100-point move, maybe. I mean, every time it's broken here, it's moved 100 points down, so. During with a single, wait, let's see. Right here, yeah. Pretty much every single time it's broken this level down, it has moved 100 points, so. This looks okay. Still pretty bearish on this, especially now that we're making this kind of thing. So just play a break of this low. Or if you want to really wait, you can wait until 550. But if AVGO manages to break the 570 barrier, it should kind of fiddle around here for a bit, maybe a couple days, before moving lower and testing this low. Oops. The price target in general should be this. Should do it pretty fast too. Baba, I don't know. It's just chilling here. Boeing looks awful. I don't know how banks do during wars, but I don't like this structure either. Not bad though. Maybe it bounces here? This shouldn't be on here. This shouldn't be on here. Move this. Because this rejected. Supply.
Sheesh!
Oh. I don't know. This is maybe long-term play. This is too fragile to sustain any more movement up unless it's super, super, super impulsive. Maybe one more bounce too, like because it held this area right here. It's a bit hard to see. Let me just hide the other stuff. So this area. And then we do our fib pull. Maybe we can see another retest of here and then a move back down. This would fix it. And then maybe sometime during earnings, if it actually does well, it can start its way back up to at least 107. But I would only play the shares, not options. Okay. This is also awful. Like I said before, I don't know. Maybe I'll buy here. We'll see in maybe a week or two. Because my fear right now, aside from the count, is if we go here to here, right, it's just this resistance. I think unless we can retest this shelf right here, we'll see another move down, maybe to the 786 or something like. Oops, it has to be pretty fast if it wants to meet the pitchfork. So maybe around March, early March. This looks really good to short. Like very easy to short. You could wait until the true low breaks, but the VPVR is saying that if it breaks 191, it should pretty much die. If I zoom all the way out, I don't know. Not the greatest rejection, fib-wise.
think it's an ABC down. Like,
Well, like here.
yeah, 133-ish. If like it's a 1 to 1.618. Even a 1 to 1 would be kind of like a big move, right?
Yeah, that would put it down, what? Let's say 170. I mean, both fib numbers are lining up to 173. So maybe if it breaks 191, you can play it down.
Resistance at 150 though, right?
150?
Sorry, I don't know. I thought I saw the VPVR node there.
I mean, this is. I'll just plot everything I see. I don't know why it's doing this. Right. I mean, it's very, very simple. I don't like how the VPVR isn't really lining up with how the price action is moving. Let's see if we go back in time. I mean, I guess there's a low here. And this is where the drop off is. And reload it. Yeah, so I would probably win until 188 instead of 181. Simply because of the multiple lows here. But if it manages to break here, it's pretty doomed for cat. This is barely valid. Because of this. But I do like this for sure. I don't think after the move that airlines and cruise lines did last week, I don't think it'll move again. Like maybe if it retests again, like it did here. But what I can see is the exact same thing that happened back here. Right? It's pretty much not identical price action, but it's very, like very, very similar. Right? Impulse up, pretty large move down, but then we gap up again. And then from that gap, we completely fade back into this demand zone. So maybe if you want to take this risk, right, your stop loss would probably be around either 43.32 or 42.86. This one, the top one, obviously would be if you want to risk more, and then you would just short it down to right here. Not in a straight line, because that's just not how things work. But I don't particularly like this, but I can kind of see this if it does form this low, or if it does make this low, right, and then starts to reverse. But I would never play this, just personally. Disney looks very similar to D-Dog, even though they're not like the same sector. But that is what I see. I don't like this pitchfork. Oh, this looks better. The VPVR, right? This would be your stop loss, 149.8. If it does manage to hold. If it doesn't, then you would just short it back down to 142 because of how fragile this structure is. Right? There's literally one single print here, or one candle. There's nothing here. and these candles aren't very convincing relative to how long it stayed at other price levels. Right, so if it does break 149.8, then you would just short it down. If it does hold though, you would play it back up to around here, 160. And if it does break 160, then it should move to 169 pretty fast. But again, you have to take into account the bias of the market, so this one is probably more likely to play out. Oh, the poor thing. Yeah, that was expected. I don't remember charting this, but apparently I had that. eBay looks awful. End phase, maybe. Right, we're back at the second entry of that newsletter play. That went from 135 to 180. But I don't like how we got here. Although we did make this tiny bounce, uh, I don't really, I'm not a fan. Even though at the golden zone and the VPVR is saying that this is a pretty critical point, that doesn't necessarily mean that we will bounce here. Right? We might just die. But if it does manage to bounce here, then your target would be 200 again. Because this would be wave 3. Expedia. Oh, what happened here? I think Dane was the one that mentioned this to me. I'm not sure if he played it, but we hit pretty significant resistance. Stopped here. Stopped at the -618 retracement. In terms of extensions, let's see. Failed to break through the 382 area supply and this fib supply area.
In the market, though, it's not that bad, right?
Yeah, it's just I'm so bearish on the market, right? That
Yeah.
why would you play against SPY? It's kind of my issue.
Head and shoulder, we going down.
Sure. This right
Uh-huh.
shoulder. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I don't. We might go down, but to me this isn't really a head and shoulder.
I mean, it's not gonna be perfect, but
I mean, we might go down, but it's not because of this. I do think that if we manage to break, I don't actually. I don't think Expedia is gonna break here. I could be wrong. It's just this. Nothing's very convincing in terms of the bullish move up. But if it does manage to break here, right, this should be a pretty easy 9-point move. But if it rejects here again, or if it breaks to a 4.6, it should also be a pretty easy move back to this area, right? This would be your the volume shelf retest. Either the 0.5 retracement, or if you consider this the entire impulse, would be your 382. What the hell? Oh yikes. Oh yikes. Pretty sure Baked already played this. This company is god awful. Oh, this looks nice to short as well.
What's
Um,
funny is that
Hmm?
whenever cat does well, FedEx is like staggering, like it's slow. Then whenever cat dies, like FedEx dies even more. FedEx
Really?
is just really shitty, I feel like. Comparatively. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of FedEx and UPS, like, these
Yeah,
charts
big
aren't
difference.
even, like, sure they move the same, but this is or UPS is way healthier than FedEx,
Mm,
obviously. But if we do break this low, 86, oh, what happened to my price scale? Oh, 218, right? If it breaks 218, I can see this
yeah,
just completely dying, right? Same, it probably look the exact same as Etsy or the other tickers that died. I don't remember which ones. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Oh, right,
exact
Docu was one of
square.
them. How we broke this area, right? PayPal was one of them, right? Um, right.
Holy shit.
At this point, I don't even know. I'm pretty sure this count is just wrong, but because there's no way this can be the macro wave 4. Like, I refuse. This must have been some kind of fifth wave, and then this is the entire wave 2. But I don't know. I hate LA wave. It's fucking useless. Traditionally, at least.
Yeah.
QCOM, unplayable. QQQ, it's whatever. Just follow SPY. Roblox. Roblox is another example, right, of how we break the key VPVR lows. Right is also another one. I don't even know why I have these on my watch still. Roku is also another one, right? Um, I mean, you literally all you had to do was zoom in, right? In terms of VPVR, recognize that this would be your volume shelf drop off, and then ultimately this would be your target. Should probably keep that for things, educational purposes. RTX. It looks like it wants to go down, to me. It looks like it wants to retest 91.26, and if it ever does retest 91.26, right, in a normal kind of behavior, then I would definitely long here, like 100% long here. But I don't know, this thing moves so slowly. But when it does pick a direction, right, it's pretty simple to play, which is what I enjoy. Jesus. Yikes. 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 Oh, I mean, the slope of this fish is too steep to actually to play, I think. But this amount of confluence here is nice, but at the same time, right, there's a lot of confluence here for a bounce. So you could have two areas. Let's see, the extension from here to here to here. Oops, wrong tool. Here to here to here. Like even this extension is showing critical support at these two areas. So like, while there may be critical support here, that also means that doesn't necessarily mean it'll bounce. It's just that these two areas, if it does bounce here, or if it does reach these areas, it would make sense for a bounce, if it wants to. But if these two break, then we'll probably go back to all-time low. If it chills here for a bit though, I think that would be the healthiest instead of an immediate reaction. This is kind of a long-term play, so only shares. I'm glad you sold Square, Kadar. But this is also a pretty good example of just very easy VPVR representation, right? Zoom out. Like this accumulation of volume here is so much more significant than everything down here. Like, oh, sorry, I had to change the music. But like if you take the dollar amount, like I mentioned earlier, this dollar amount is probably worth more than everything in here. So if this managed to break, then all the buyers in here literally don't matter, right? Because these buyers that failed to hold it up here are worth way more than all the buyers that pushed it up to reach this point. So that happened. These are all trash. Same thing with Spotify, right? It's the exact same thing. These are probably only decade opportunities, or once in a decade kind of opportunities, this short, right? Because these volume shelves take years to form, right? Or I guess for this one, it only took right, a year and a half-ish. Maybe you can catch this one. I don't even know what this company is, right? But just this volume shelf. This is a pretty obvious example as well. Right. This broke, and then we just went back down to the actual demand. Target, I don't know, I've been bearish for a while. Didn't end anywhere significant, so probably not playable. Although, I would probably keep 120.7 as the critical kind of pivot level. Like, to me, this would be, if it managed to bounce here, this area or this level specifically would make the most sense for a bounce, because this was the breakout, right, multiple times. But if it does break here, right, then this should be pretty easy to fill. Where'd my Tesla chart go? Oh, did I delete it? Oh. I must have done a one-on-one. I mistakenly deleted it. But I do think we hit 691 if this manages to break. And then maybe, right, let's see, if we fractal it. This isn't that similar. I mean, a little similar, right? But this is where it kind of diverges just a little bit. This area here, but kind of the same price action. So let's see. I mean, we bounce here at the 618, right? And now after making this impulse, we bounce here at the 618 again. So if you compare the two bounces, right? Let's see. The immediate reaction was pretty similar. Right? We had an immediate move up, and it was very, very significant. Then we had what? In terms of this bounce, we had 2 months until we retest. But here it looks like we want to retest now. But it looks like we bounce at the 618 here as well, right? On this little section. So here we kind of make that similar low as the previous price action. So if Tesla does manage to bounce for some reason tomorrow, and it does make this kind of move, then just be prepared, right? For months of chop, because I like to think that history repeats itself when it comes to price action, at least. Twitter, yikes, yikes. Same reason, right? It's just an airline. I would probably never play this for options. At least to me, it's not worth it, these kinds of moves. However, for shares, maybe I'd start scaling 32.85. If we do actually go to war, then it would be a pretty good time to start thinking about making a long-term portfolio. Because you're supposed to buy when it's red, right? Although I'm not experienced with that. We're not experienced with long-term investing, at least. What was this, 618? Yeah. We even hit the price target, wow. How surprising. Let's see if it does it again. Alright, this is another 618. While we don't really fix what happened here, maybe. I mean, the most I can see it moving back up is right here, right? Or maybe even a median rejection, right? Because this would line up with the volume shelf, or at least the top of the volume shelf. So at most I can see here if it does manage to bounce off this golden zone. But if you keep in mind FedEx, right? FedEx also has to make a very, very important decision here, right? At 218.25. If it bounces, it lives, right? It doesn't immediately die. But if it chooses not to bounce, right, then both of these things will be very bearish. UPS maybe only a 5-point move, right? Because this would completely fill the gap, and it would also hit the 786. But if you kind of just view the price action, that would lead it to this area, right? Because it would happen very, very quickly if it does break 207, right? Because if FedEx breaks to 18.25, then the move down will also be very fast. So with that in mind, right, you would have to kind of imagine that if the golden zone breaks here for UPS, then it would most likely result in some kind of price action, like velocity-wise, similar to FedEx. So maybe 1 or 2 bars leading to 201, which would mean that the structure would be extremely clapped. You wouldn't want to play something that just kind of dies. You would only play it after it proves that it wants to bounce, right? That would be through some kind of Marubozu candle, right? Something like this, right here. Those Marubozu candles are indications that something wants to reverse or keep going. Upstart, I don't know. Oh, this looks okay. Pretty good actually. I'm pretty sure Superman was the one that pointed it out to me. Aside from my MasterCard chart. It looks like it wants to retest the breakout, or it currently is right now, right? So this would be a good risk to reward play. If it chooses to bounce here, your stop loss would be right here. Your target just be the top of the volume shelf. Very simple play. Let's see if there's any support here fib-wise. No. Maybe the 786. Nope. But I could see a pretty decent bounce here. Right? It would go from, it would have to bounce exactly here, right? So your stop loss would literally be as small as possible. Daily close underneath this level would invalidate this. And your first target would be here, right? Because this is the top of the volume shelf before the drop off. And then up here, because this is the volume shelf. If it breaks this, great. You should already be very deep in profits because you caught all of this reward, right? This whole reward, and your risk is almost non-existent. Oh, where'd I go? Horizon. Looks like passable, maybe. I think there are better things to play. Wayfair, another example of just this massive distribution in volume, or this massive volume shelf, rather. Breaks this. There's quite literally nothing here supporting it to 180. If this breaks, then it's doomed. Well, it does care about this pitchfork a bit, right? It would have bounced, like, earlier, if it wanted support. This is the last kind of level where it can bounce and still be bullish. I don't even know what this company is. I can't tell if it is affected by SPY or not, or how it would be affected during a war. But right, if it does manage to bounce here, which it looks like it wants to, or not necessarily it wants to, but it it kind of has to, unless it dies, right? Because this would be another example of just the volume shelf just completely disappearing, right? Because this right here would be very fragile. Um, so if it doesn't want to die, then it must bounce here, right? And I generally like playing these things that kind of needs to bounce. Let's see. This is a pretty simple play. Your stop loss would be underneath 138.8-ish, so 139. I would try and get as close to it as possible, and you would kind of either you buy literally on the dot, right? Because it would have to make this kind of decision, or you would wait for, I don't know, some kind of weekly candle to spark some confidence in buyers stepping in. It already looks like it's starting to reverse, right? In terms of the strat. And this is what a pivot machine gun. This doji's nice, right? You can kind of see how the strength weakens every single time, or as the weeks go on. So either play this with monthlies, right, or play this with shares, because the move I'm expecting, if it does bounce, right, is a move to here. So 10% move on shares, not awful, right, but a 10% move on monthlies probably do you well. I've honestly never played this ticker, so I have no clue how the contracts move, but yeah. Walmart, nothing. Win, nothing. X, nothing. XLB. Sectors. What even is in XLI? Oh. Okay. XLI, very similar to all the other things that I talked about. Looks like the things inside of it kind of want to bounce soon, right? Top holdings, CPS. Right, we already talked about this. How a bounce would make sense if it does bounce here. Same thing with RTX, or like it's very close to a bounce rather. Right, UPS would also be very close to a bounce to the 786 before making a pretty significant move up. Han on another top holding. This would make sense for a bounce, right? Because it's finally filled the structure and it's hitting some pretty key VPVR levels. Only issue I have is with Cat. Or actually, no. I just ignore what I just said. Cat also has a similar kind of story, I guess, where it's very close to bouncing if it chooses to bounce. So it's so everything right in XLI is approaching very critical levels. Should the things inside XLI not bounce, right, everything will die in terms of things related to XLI, right? Because none of the things that we just looked at have support underneath the critical level that we just looked at, right? Maybe RTX does, but most of the things don't. So if XLI does not bounce very soon, right, you could mark it as this low, or you can mark it right here. Right? Then everything will kind of just make its way down to 89 in terms of XLI, so a 10% move on this would probably be pretty significant for the underlying tickers. Let's move on. Real estate. I know this is an unplayable ticker from last I checked because there's just no open interest. But it does look the same as the other things. Okay, 50 minutes later, I only found 4 playable things. Hooray. Out of, what, 162 tickers, and I even deleted some. I'll go through chart requests, I guess, for a few minutes. Moderna, key levels, let's just go to clean chart. Zoom in, our time frame. You have here, 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 oops, here, and here. No, fib-wise, let's see. Not much here to really look at. Let's see. I would not be surprised if it bounces here, but I also would not be surprised if it... Actually, it's hit pretty critical support, and it manages to hold. If you refer back to pretty much everything that I've said, if you were listening, this is another example of the volume shelf and how the things below it disappear. Right, so this would be a very critical level for Moderna to bounce at. It would make sense for it to bounce here. These would be the levels you would look out for, at least on the short term. So send that to you. So it should make its decision here soon, right? If it does break, then your first target would be here, and your second would be here, third would be here. I'll put them in red. There you go. I looked at F, I looked at Visa, Rivian. Sure. While it is making a pretty decent volume shelf here, this is nowhere near as significant as the volume shelf here, right? Because if you just kind of pay attention to the dollar value, this is almost, this would probably be equivalent in size maybe. That being said, I do think that if it does manage to break above 70, it could make a pretty significant move to 79, right? Which is nothing to kind of scoff at, right? This is a 10% move on the ticker, although, right, the IV on these contracts are probably massive, right? Probably around upwards of 150% because of how much it moves. So a 10% move on this, probably better to just leverage yourself in shares, right? Instead of leveraging yourself in options, you can just put maybe 5 times the amount you would put in the options play, because you would kind of, you're just minimizing your risk, obviously. I guess I'll just look at the YouTube chat really quick. Yeah, okay. How do I find my stocks? I don't know, someone just gave me this watch list. And I've just been rolling with it. I don't use a scanner. I used to use this. But this, I haven't looked at this in so long. All it looked for was relative volume and a pretty big move. But that was when I used to scalp pennies and stuff. Okay, 55 minutes. Pretty worthless because the market is pretty shit. It's been shit for about 3 months, which is why I haven't been playing anything. But eventually we'll get these kinds of moves again. And eventually it will get easier. Unless there are any last minute requests, I'll just end it here. I don't know what I'm going to put on the newsletter, to be honest. It's like these 4 things that I saw are passable for plays, but none of them are great. I would probably give, if I was rating it out of 10, I would probably give maximum like 6 out of 10. Because there's really just nothing. Especially with the news that just came out, right? It'll be so unpredictable. So unless you're willing to take the risk of trading during these conditions, just wait. It's not like the market's going anywhere. And I keep saying this over and over and over again. I can't tell you the amount of times I've seen people blow up their accounts because they feel like they need to trade every day. Like, why not just wait until things like this happen? Right? Things like this. Oops. Things like this. Things like this. Things like this. Right? Multi-week rallies. Multi-year rallies. We are clearly not in one. So why not wait? Like, doesn't this look very easy to trade in? Why would you want to trade during this? I don't know, it just boggles my mind. I can't wrap my head around it. Beyond. Yeah. This thing's doomed, I think. I mean, every single level that it's created has been broken. Just perma-short it, maybe, until news comes out. Let's see. Shorter term, though. There's really nothing down here. Like, the most I can do, most I can give you is just do a simple fib pull, right? It's saying that we have support here. Right? At 52.42, if it breaks here, just short it down to 46.38. I don't know, every single time someone brings this up to me, I just think it's going to go down. And nothing's really changed. Even like during the times it was up at all-time highs, the amount of times it was just stuck in an area, right? And the amount of times the next day it just gaps down and then doesn't move, right? Like here, it's too often. It happens way too much, right? This is kind of unplayable for most people, right? Because I can probably count the amount of people that can hold a position for more than 3 days on one hand that I know of. So I guess I'll stay for futures. Thoughts on CVX? Oh, yikes. Wow. Holy shit, imagine swinging oil. Must be nice. Must be nice. Yeah, it has to hold, obviously. Congrats, Batman. CVX. Where'd my chart go? Oh, CVX, not CVS. this is a small volume shelf here, right? If you're playing calls, it looks like it wants to bounce here. First target would be 134.7. Next would be 137. Right? If it manages to break this, obviously it would be all-time high. But it's a pretty slow mover. Oh, it's oil. Oh, it's Chevron. Oh, you should be fine. Right? If it manages to hold. It's probably going to open around 137. So congrats. PG. I don't know when I charted this, but it managed to reclaim this volume shelf right after dying when it first broke. But we did reject the median here. Actually, let's ignore the pitchfork. We rejected the volume shelf drop off here, right? So these two red levels, moving the fib, would be your kind of key resistance. And then this green level here would be your key support. GLD. Looks great. Honestly, it looks great. I would like to see it above 178. Actually, let's just be more exact. I would like to see it above 179.2. Ultimately, if it gets above 185, then maybe it can start another massive impulse up. But that massive impulse up will probably take years. Or will probably play out within a year. Right, because it's gold. So DWAC, I don't like the structure at all. I think the most likely scenario would just be a retest of a 61.3. Price action wise, I can't see it breaking out of this top like 94.65. It just wouldn't make sense to me. If it does manage to get above 94.65 and hold, it will most likely go to 111. HD. Kind of similar to the things that I've talked about, right, in terms of volume shelves. It's just that the magnitude of the gap is very small relative to the other things. It does have earnings tomorrow morning, and one of the people I trust is very bullish on it, so I would also be very bullish on it. If it does do well, great. It will most likely move very, very hard because the structure supports it because of how fragile the move down was. So if HD does manage to gap up during earnings, right, and make its way above 357, above 366, and above 374 ultimately, we can see it back up to at least 390. Anything else? But yeah, futures not looking too good.
You ever played Intuit, Shiro?
I have. I remember playing earnings. This looks awful though.
Alright.
I played it back here.
Okay.
Literally right here, on this breakout. Since then, I have not looked. This... Eh.
Reason it looked like a middle of nowhere shorting opportunity type thing, but I'm not gonna short it obviously. But I was just like wondering.
But yeah, it looks awful. Like it looks like it definitely wants to go down, right, to at least maybe 422. But you have to take into account that bounces in between. Okay. Should be it, right? Okay. Futures bad. Stocks bad. Crypto kind of bad. But I will post these later. I don't even know if I will write the newsletter. I mean, I guess I will. I kind of have to, but I'll probably just reiterate what I said before about how you should just wait.
Have you seen a selfish question? Have you seen my fork on Sir Spy?
This one?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have. I mean, this is
Fine.
incredibly bearish.
Right?
You're literally targeting like 350, no?
It normally doesn't play out like
Yeah.
that. Because the
Yeah,
pitchfork, I mean, it's original. It's like the very,
See?
very slanted one.
Right.
But look how like it's just
It
up
can't get
in front
above.
of-
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I kind of find it funny.
Maybe we hit the. I don't know actually. I can't see a candle just forming like this, and completely destroying everything.
Yeah.
Something bad would have to happen. Something very bad.
I also think like do you breach the 50% level like,
On the yearly?
yearly?
Oh. Didn't we already break?
Yep, and then that was that like bounce or whatever, cat bounce, whatever you want to call it, and now we're kind of looking like we're gonna go back to it again. So I don't know. I was just kind of interested in that.
Oh, doesn't
You
this mean
broke
that we can make an outside candle or something?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, what you would be targeting here? Holy shit.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't.
I don't know how
It
well
just-
the strat works on extremely large time frames. I don't even use it, so I can't speak for it. But it's not unrealistic. 350?
more that I don't actually play it that way, but then on the daily and
Yeah.
weekly and that stuff, I'll look for more bearish setups if
Right.
we've breached this. Right.
So, yeah, you just play the shorter time frame. That makes sense.
Gives me more confidence that.
Yeah.
That's also because March lows, right? Like, actually, no, that's it. 2020. I don't know. 2021 was such a funky year, right? Look how much we freaking went up. Oh, no.
121% in a year. Right.
I guess in 2 years. 2 years, right?
Yeah,
2020.
like a year and a half, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Almost 2. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I'm so jaded by time.
Yeah.
Everything's going. Okay. I'm officially ending it here. Quick summary, like 30 seconds. 4 tickers out of 170 that look bearable. Everything else looks trash. 4 swings at least. That doesn't mean that things won't move. It's just that it is, at least to me, it's very unpredictable for the underlying tickers. The overall direction on the week and how it will move. There's nothing very obvious, which is the things I like to play. Futures, SPX, pretty bad. No new levels, right? Because we're not even close to 3,900. Right, so just look at my channel if you want them, or you can look here because for some reason I'm showing them. Just use the search function. If you can't use it, fine, DM me. I'll just point you to the message. If you want to download my chart, then DM me, right? I can give it to you, whatever. Sure, I'm done. Bye bye. I'll write the newsletter, probably throw some random things on there, and my thoughts on the market. Okay, thanks for coming.
Sure. Bye.
Bye. How do I stop? I forgot how to stop streaming. Oh, is that on YouTube? Oh my god. Okay, give me a sec.
Cut the cord.